Yes, I finished another one. This one is a T-62 Soviet-made battle tank by Tamiya. Man, it was a lot of fun to build. My first foray into Soviet armor, and I can guarantee it won't be my last. I will build another one, or two or three or four or five. But let me get into it. The build itself, pretty clean, pretty straightforward. I didn't use all of the parts. There was one piece in particular. There was a log that was supposed to go across the back, and I just didn't think it looked realistic and decided I couldn't make it look realistic. I toyed with the idea of cutting a branch down out of one of the trees in the backyard, but I couldn't find a really good photograph to show how it was actually supposed to be attached, so I simply filled the holes and said to heck with it. I did very little scratch building on this, but there is some. The back of the 55-gallon drums had a built-on straight piece of plastic to indicate where the clamps would be. I sawed those off, cleaned them up, and used wire to replace the molded pieces, and also would represent more the bolt that would be holding it in place. I fashioned 4 little wing nuts and glued them in place, again out of wire. I used lead wire, smashed the end, cut it in half, and spread them apart. And surprisingly, they turned out pretty good. I had to make lots of them, though, before I found 4 that I really liked. Also on the back, after reviewing some photographs, I found that it was missing these 3 little tie-down points or handles, and the third lift link for the turret was also missing. So these are all scratch built parts. As I rotated around, more scratch building are the 2 connection points where the tow cable would have sat, one leading back to the rear and one to the front. I didn't scratch build the cables. I'm still thinking about an aftermarket part. I can put those on later. The fuel cans, 3 fuel cans, have all had the appropriate fuel lines attached to them. I found some nice diagrams of the actual lines, and these are put on in accordance with those photographs. The hatches had little plastic handles on them, and I scraped those off and made handles out of wire. The front, the most notable improvements are the SKP lenses on all the spotlights, and if I tilt it forward, also on the blackout drive, there's a small lens in there. They're all in a kind of shade of purple, so my assumption would be that the lenses are probably ultraviolet, as well, opposed to white light. I have a metal barrel from R&B barrels, which had a connection point for this mechanical connection to the spotlight. The spotlight is slave to the barrel, so it raises up and down at the same inclination as the barrel. The only part of the kit that I used is the little L-shaped part here. I cut off the plastic that would have allowed it to go to the back of the canvas cover. That was so the kit gun barrel could raise and lower. This one has been glued fixed in position because it's a little heavy and didn't sit right otherwise. Also, by connecting it to the spotlight where it belonged, this would have broke every time you moved the barrel up and down. So the connection has a wire that goes from the control arm all the way to the bracket of the spotlight where it would have gone. The finish has been accomplished with some oil paints. Only my second real attempt at the oil paints variants, and I'm really happy with them. Actually, the little rust streaks here, there, and where water might have pooled up, showed up really nice. The color variants on the cans where I used it showed up really nice. And then I went ahead with the Vallejo pigments and just mud splattered the whole thing. I wanted it to look like it had been used in not necessarily combat, or maybe training, out on a training exercise. Maintained, but still dirty and used. I still want to paint the figure. I haven't done a lot of figure painting, so he's going to be like, I think, number 2 or 3 altogether, and I will be adding him to the turret commander's cupola once he's been painted up. The kit overall was, like I said, a real lot of fun to build, and as with Tamiya models, the accuracy is pretty good. I'm not sure if it's 100%. You do hear things from time to time about different sets, but overall I was real happy with everything in general, with the exception of the decals. They didn't seem to want to sit down quite properly, and the number 3 here, you can notice a slight color differentiation between the top and the rest of it, is the decal started to flake off there. So I had to hand paint the top portion of the 3 to replace it. They did come with a decal set with a number of different variants, but I wanted to keep it as simple as possible, so I just used the tank number. Thanks for watching.